Knowing how to start a real estate business with no money opens up a world of investment opportunity to you. You don't have to have money to make money. You can start investing in real estate right now, even if you look at your bank account and there's no capital there. Let's find out how. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 things you need to know if you want to invest in real estate and you don't have a lot of capital to do so. A lot of people are in this boat. They see the real estate game. They see how much action there is. They really want to take advantage of that, but they really don't have the capital to do so. And the sad thing is, a lot of people close the book at that truth. I don't have money. I want to get into real estate, so I just can't do it. I've got to move on. Real estate must be for quote unquote rich people. The truth of the matter is, that is a limiting belief and it needs to be tossed in the trash. Real estate is accessible to everybody. You just have to know what exists in order to help people get into real estate, even if they don't have capital. The very first thing you can do to get into real estate, even if you don't have capital, is to do something called house hacking. House hacking is where you live in one of the units in which you own. So you buy a duplex or a 3-unit or a 4-unit building, you live in one of those units, and you let people pay their bills. My wife and I have done this 3 different times throughout our lives where we've lived in one of our units and just rented the rest out and essentially lived for free. It's a powerful way to remove a mortgage from your life so you really can simply live rent-free in a place you actually own and is accruing appreciation and is continuing to grow in value. But the powerful thing about house hacking, because you're going to live in it, you can leverage a federal housing administration loan or an FHA loan. An FHA loan you can get into for 3.5% down. You get a $100,000 property for $3,500. A lot of times the deposit in first month's rent is that much just to move into a rental property. So you can leverage the FHA loan because you're going to live in the property. This is one of the best loans to leverage for your very first real estate property because of the low interest, but you do have to live in it. So house hacking opens you up to this specific idea. Now, just a quick note on FHA loans. FHA loans do have limits on how much you can spend depending on the area. If you're in the Midwest, it's going to be a certain number. If you move to New York City, because cost of living is very high, that number is going to raise. If you're buying a single family, a duplex, a 3-unit, or a 4-unit building, the numbers change, but an FHA does have a ceiling on how much they will loan. So make sure you check wherever you're going to buy that property, check the ceiling for an FHA loan, which your banker can tell you, and that's your budget for that property in order to use an FHA loan. But if you're going to house hack, it opens up a world of opportunity. But the thing with house hacking is you can do it over and over and over again. So you can get an FHA loan. Now you can only have one FHA loan at a time. So after you get your FHA loan and you hold that property for 2 years, guess what? After 2 years, the bank will recognize your rental income on your tax statement. So they will actually count that as income after you've owned it for 2 years. Then you can leverage that to get another property. And if you want to upgrade, maybe the new property is nicer, you move into that new property and put a tenant in the property you lived in. And you can continue to do this and grow your wealth without having to have a lot of money to get this done. The second way to invest in real estate without having any money is through something called seller financing. Seller financing is one of the most powerful things in real estate. It's where the seller acts as the bank. So instead of you having to go get a loan, you just make payments to the seller and you can get into real estate. Now you might say, but Mike, how do you get into real estate with no money? Because some people in seller financing will require a down payment. Well, you can do a couple things. Number one, you can partner with somebody on that project. Maybe they have the capital, you're going to live in the property and maybe even manage that property, and you're going to take a piece of the equity and give most of the equity to the person that put the money in, but it gets you into a real estate deal. So you can do as many seller financing deals as you want. You just continue to search for owners that are willing to sell your property on seller financing, and guess what? It never's counted as actual debt because it doesn't show up anywhere. It's simply a contract between you and a seller. So you can get a seller financing deal, you can go and you can get another seller financing deal and keep going, and guess what? You don't need a lot of capital for this method. You might even be able to take a little bit higher interest rate and a lower down payment as long as the numbers still work for you. Seller financing is a really powerful way to get into real estate with no money. In fact, it's how my wife and I busted into real estate years ago in 2012. We started with our FHA house hack, like we just talked about, and then our next few deals were seller financing deals because it's a way you can grow that portfolio without having a lot of capital in your wallet. The third way you can get into real estate without having any money is by raising private money. If you've been around our channel any amount of time, you've heard me talk about private money is one of the most powerful ways to skyrocket your real estate career, even if you don't have any capital, because you can leverage other people's capital, put it into the deal, you keep a piece of the equity, and guess what? You can do it over and over and over and over again. Last year, we acquired over 300 units and over $15 million, and all that property was acquired by using other people's money. None of our money went into those deals. And none of your money has to go into that either, and especially if you're looking at your bank, you don't have any, this is a great model to bust into real estate without having any capital. Before I go on to the last few tips, make sure you subscribe to the channel and join our family of people that are investing in real estate, building wealth, and creating financial freedom. Let's get back to the content. The fourth thing you can do to bust into real estate if you don't have any money is by leveraging a HELOC or a home equity line of credit. Now, this tip is specific to people that own a home or know people that do own a home, because what's going to happen with a HELOC is it's going to partner with a private money, and I'll explain how that works in just a minute. But a HELOC is something where you have a property and you can take the equity out of that property and use it for real estate. And so if you have a property and you have equity in your home, by leveraging that equity, you can get into real estate without having any capital in the bank, because equity can't be spent. Right? You can't spend your equity. You can't invest your equity unless you HELOC it or take a line of credit against it and then invest it into real estate. But the HELOC gives you access to that equity as though it's a bank account, and you can leverage that into real estate and continue to buy more deals. But what if you're like, Mike, I don't own a home? Maybe you know somebody who does own a home. They can take the equity out of their home, invest into one of your deals. You can take a piece of the equity, give them pieces of the equity, and then guess what? You're in real estate with none of your own money. A lot of people that invest in our deals invest through a home equity line of credit. They take equity out of their home, they invest into one of our deals, they may pay 3% on that money. We're gonna give them 6 to 7% the first year. That means they're making 3 to 4% on that equity every single year. And by the way, that's the least amount of money they're ever going to make on that deal. So helping people see how they can leverage equity can really help you scale your portfolio without having any of your own capital. The fifth thing you can do is find a deal and partner with the rest. So let's say you don't have any capital, but you found a really good deal. Then you find somebody who can get the loan and bring the capital, and you brought the deal. You can take a piece of equity for the deal, give them pieces of equity for bringing the other pieces of value, and you can get real estate without having any money. You see, because there's really 4 pieces of value in a deal: the person who finds the deal, the person who brings the money, the person who can get the loan, and the person who operates the property or manages the property manager. And of those 4 things, if you can bring the deal and manage the manager, you're bringing 50% of that value equation, and you can start doing deals over and over again and let somebody else bring the value of having the money and being able to get the loan. Again, getting into real estate with none of your own capital. Doing deals in real estate is way more about creativity and strategy than it is about having money. Most people get into real estate with no money. That's just how it works. If you're wanting to get into real estate and you don't have any money, great, you're in great company. That's where all of us started. So thinking like, yeah, but you guys have money. We didn't start this way. You think I started with capital? I had no money. My first house was a house hack in which I lived in half. But here's what I want you to do. When this video is over, I want you to make a list of people you could call that could be potential partners on your next deal. They could bring the money, you could bring the deal. Let's get this thing going and stop wondering how to do it and start putting some stuff into action. So when this video is over, make a list of people you could call to partner with and start calling brokers to get deals. If you want to know how to find more deals, make sure after this video is over, you watch our video, how to locate more deals. But it's time to take action. It's time to start wondering how to get into real estate with no money and just get into real estate with no money. If you follow these tips, I just gave you a bunch of stuff you can do in order to get into real estate with no money. And the sad thing about education is it removes excuses. So now you no longer have the excuse of, I can't get into real estate, I don't have any money. It's gone. It's time to go into real estate, and it doesn't matter how much money you have.